Hello, friends, this is Ajay. Welcome to our discussion today. We are going to talk about a very familiar story. All of us in India would be well aware of this, and most Hindus anywhere in the world would have come across this story at some point. It's the story of the battle between Durga and Raktbeej. Raktbeej was a demon who had the boon that every drop of his blood that will fall on the ground will give rise to new versions of Raktbeej. In this battle, Durga tries to kill Raktbeej, but every attempt to injure it, to harm it, would lead to more and more versions of Raktbeej. And her job became more and more difficult rather than easier the more she tried. At some point, she gets angry, and out of her frown, from her forehead, out of her frown leaps out Goddess Kali. Kali not only kills Raktbeej but drinks his blood, eats his flesh, nothing is left. And in this process, she becomes so intoxicated with rage, she gets so carried away by her passion that even after Raktbeej is dead, she just can't stop. She continues her dance of destruction. She destroys everything in her path. The whole creation is at risk. Initially, all the gods run and hide, but that does not keep them safe because there is nowhere left to hide. So, as usually happens in our mythology, they all run to Shiva, and then Shiva comes to rescue. Now, Shiva lies down in her path, and as she is going through ravaging the whole of creation, at some point she steps onto Shiva, and at that point she stops. And this is a familiar image to a lot of us. You would have seen this in Durga Puja and in other iconography in our homes and in our temples. And this is a really old story, right? This goes back thousands of years. And I always think about mythological stories in terms of capsules of wisdom that have been put together by civilizations to transfer some kind of understanding through generations. So let's try and unpack what this story might mean. This is just my version of it, which I have learned from the teachers I have come across over the years. Let's try and unpack this. So, in this story, Durga represents our energy. She's also called Shakti, which essentially means energy. And Raktbeej represents our desires. Now, our energy is always trying to fulfill our desires. So, in a sense, end the desire. But the nature of the desires is such that every time you fulfill a desire, it only fragments and gives birth to more desires. So, the more you try to fulfill a desire, in the end, the more dissatisfied you are left. So, at some point, this energy becomes frustrated. And out of that frustration of this inability to do the very thing that she wants to do, that the energy wants to do, comes out anger. And anger is one of the most toxic of emotions. I don't have to explain why. It overwhelms reason, it overwhelms our thinking, it makes us do things that we later regret. And we have to try hard to unwind the damage we have done in the fit of anger. We destroy relationships, we damage our friends and family, we damage ourselves when angry. What does Shiva represents in this story? Shiva represents our intelligence, our intellect, our buddhi, our discrimination. Shiva is called Adi Yogi, and Adi means original and can be thought of as the first in the line of yogis going back thousands of years. Or Adi can also be interpreted as the first in our lifetime, in our existence. And our intellect is our first yogi. Our intellect is the first to understand, to figure out that anger is destructive, that anger needs to be managed in some way so that we can contain it. And how can our intellect manage our anger, control our anger? So you can't argue with an anger, okay? You can't reason with an angry person. You can't reason with yourself when you are angry. You can't sort of completely suppress that person as well, because the more you try to suppress your anger, the worse it becomes. So you can't suppress it, you can't argue with it. Essentially, you can't fight and win. And the other thing you can't do is you can't just hide, because hiding is not an escape either. All the gods hid from Kali, but Kali did not stop her rampage just because the gods were no longer visible there. So you can't hide from it, you can't argue with it, you can't run away from it, you can't fight and win. So what can you do? You can do what Shiva does in this story, which is he lies down in her path. He does not take his eyes off her. He watches her approach, but does not run away, does not turn away, continues looking at it and allows it to come to her, to come to him and step on him. And that's when anger stops. So the message from this story is that you can replace in this story anger with any other strong emotion, or indeed any emotion. Our emotions are more primal in how our brain is designed. They come from a more primal place. Our reason is no longer is not actually powerful enough to overwhelm emotions. But our reason can do something. Our reason can connect with our power of awareness itself and then watch the emotional states. And there is something in the way our brain is constructed that if you watch your own emotions, they settle down. And this applies to anger, but this also applies to every other emotion. And and yes, we have the need to control anger, as it is the most destructive of emotions, but we also need to get better at controlling our awareness of emotions, at controlling the minor disruptions emotions cause in our day-to-day life. Now, these instances of controlling your anger when it becomes so violent, those instances arise in your life not that frequently, right? Maybe some times a week, maybe even less frequently. And you only have to watch the emotion for maybe 10 seconds for you to manage the reduction in the intensity of it. But just knowing this story, would that allow you next time you are feeling angry to now just watch it and it goes away? It probably won't. And the reason for that is that it is something that you need to, it's a skill that you need to acquire through training. And I remember the example of Usain Bolt in this, the fastest man on the planet, runs 100 meters in under 10 seconds. So his performance is actually just 10 seconds. When he stands on the track and he has to run, it's only 10 seconds. But the training he needs to do to be able to run those 100 meters in under 10 seconds is years of training. He trains for hours every day to be able to perform for those 10 seconds. In the same way, for us to be able to exercise that control over our emotions for those few seconds that we need to when the emotions are boiling over, we need to train ourselves to get better and better at controlling them, at watching them. So, how does that training happen? How can we train our awareness to watch our emotions, to watch ourselves in action? This is also sort of the root lies in the story. You have to use your intellect, you have to use your ability to discriminate, and you have to use it to watch your whole sort of internal structure, your whole process of thinking and feeling and doing and being. And what it allows us to do is it allows us to switch on within ourselves the ability to watch our mind in action. All of us have that ability, but it is not automatically switched on in all of us. And even if it is switched on, you need to strengthen it so that it can come in handy at the time you need it. So how can you train this? So one of the easiest way to do it, to do that training, is to train yourself to watch your physical body, to be more aware of it. And you can do it just by sitting, relaxing your body, feeling your toes, making sure your back is straight, your shoulders are relaxed, the muscles in your face, around your eyes, around your lips, they're all relaxed. And take one or two deep breaths. And as you are breathing, breathe in deeply and breathe out, just adding to the relaxation you have just noticed. And you can make it more regular by surrounding yourself with reminders and tokens and symbols. Maybe wear some bracelets, maybe have some figures of Buddha or Kali or Shiva on your desk, or a photograph of people you care about, something that when it comes into your awareness will remind you to take a couple of breaths. And if you spread yourself with these symbols, if you spread these symbols around you, and you do it a few times throughout the day, then slowly it'll all add up. And at some point, within a few weeks, you will notice that you are naturally becoming more aware of how your body is, how your sensations are, what is happening in your thought, what's happening in your feelings. That awareness slowly starts coming online. And it will start helping you in little ways. For example, most of us, when we sit down to eat, we are not really aware of how much we are eating. And later on, we often regret that we ate a little bit more than we should have. But as you are becoming more aware of what you are doing at any given time through this practice, this very easy practice, you will notice that when you are sitting down to eat, you are able to maintain awareness of how much you are eating and stop yourself from overeating. Very simple thing, but has a profound impact on the quality of our life. So I hope this story was helpful. I hope you will remember this story, and I hope you will remember the basic exercise in meditation that we have discussed. And do let me know how you find it. And if you have any questions around it, you can always reach out to me. Thank you.